I know it's a bloody magical time of year, but when you've done a straight 6 hours on your feet in the John Lewis homeware department, enthusing about chuffing air fryers, the magic soon wears off. Oh, God, that's better. You know this mad dash between Halloween and Christmas? They say it's all for the kids, really. Them and their families. Well, they're wrong. It's done for the retailers and their partners, so we can keep going until this time next year. And that's me. Done. Until Saturday. Tomorrow, Friday, a rare day off. Go me. So I can put my feet up. Beans on toast and the chance to catch up on the week's curry. Oh. Yes. Don't you just love it? Hot or cold. Baked bean juice. And not just any baked beans. They have to be these. Heinz. Funny really. I've never cared much for the beans themselves. But come to that, neither did you. Still, I'm told I need more roughage in my diet, so when needs must. But no, it's the juice that brings me back, and it always brings you back. That sweet, fruity juiciness. Lovely. Chuff me. 8.7 grams of sugar. 10% of the reference intake of an average adult. Good job I had salad for lunch today. Mind you, it's not as if I have that much. Sugar, that is. Sweet enough, obviously. But frankly, it has to be these. Heinz beans with sugar in them, you taught me that. Not the ones with no added sugar, that's just wrong, that is. A lingering aftertaste of saccharin. Oh, sickly. I mean, I know other brands are available, but they're just not right. Taste, smell. That's where memories are kept. And every time I open a can of Heinz baked beans and taste that juice, that specific juice, it reminds me of you, Suzanne. We met, God, how long ago? Better part of what, 30 years ago? In another lifetime, literally. I had run away to London by then, getting away from it all, so to speak. I was working in the Abbey National, as was, down in Victoria, the Artillery Row branch, just round the corner from the Army and Navy. The first time I met you, Suzanne, we weren't on the counter, although we were both cashiers. It was in the staff room. As ever, I was in a rush and had one of those ready meals for my lunch. You know the kind of thing. Processed pasta shapes and a tomato sauce with a glimmer of cheese topping. Zap it in the microwave and you're done. Anyway, in I dashed and it was only you and me in there. You were such a new face, Suzanne. All teeth and smiles. An eagerness to please. Oh, such a smile you had. Went from ear to ear, it did, with teeth that could dazzle. So in I went, and there, next to the microwave, was a used box of exactly the same ready meal I was about to warm up. "Oh," I said, "you had one of these too?" You nodded. And I asked how long you'd put it in for, and did I need to prick the film or something. 10 minutes, came the reply, and a confirmation there was no need to prick the film or loosen the film. So in mine went. I do remember thinking that some filthy bastard had left the microwave in a right state, but with time against me and no willingness to tidy up after others or to read the heating instructions properly, I got on with making a cuppa. It only took a few minutes before there was an almighty eruption from the microwave. Over I went, opened the door. Pasta shells and tomato sauce splattered everywhere. Your face was a picture, eyes wide, rolling in shock. That happened to me and all. I ended up cleaning the microwave over the rest of my lunchtime, and I don't think we spoke much for weeks. Silly cow, I thought. But time rolled on, as it does. And I came to respect you, Suzanne. You were a good soul, if lost like I was. Both new to London, me running away from one thing and toward another. And you, there was something, no idea what. Your smiles lit up our working lives back then in the Abbey, as did your love of God and your Baptist church. But never men. Not on a relationship level, at least. They didn't get a look in. Not that you were interested in women, oh, heaven forbid. As I seem to remember, you had firm opinions on all of that. "John," you'd say to me. Good old John. My dead name, as the phrase now goes. I don't mind John. John Bean, as was, is part of me, made me what I am. And God knows, Suzanne, you wouldn't understand that at all. You had a whiff of it back in the day, of course. You knew I never mentioned women or dates, a girlfriend or a wife. I could see you knew when you gave me that look. Part pity, part contempt. And you liked men. And at the time I thought that meant I was gay, but I kept my mouth firmly shut about it at work. I mostly talked about the weather, that and the antics of my cat, while you talked about God and how he would deliver you the life he wanted you to live, which would include a man in the fullness of time, assuming that was his plan for you. Such blind faith. I thought you were crazy for that back then, but now I admire you for your total devotion to living life as yourself and nothing else but. "John," you'd say, as we'd sit on the counter waiting for customers to wander through, "why don't you come to church? Find yourself a good woman. Become whole." I'd decline, of course, and then I'd close the conversation down by wondering aloud whether it would be raining by the time the branch shut, and whether my pussy would be all wet by the time I got home. Oh, you were very prim and proper, Suzanne. My referencing Mrs. Slocum never raised an eyebrow. No loaded comments from you about the size of someone's deposit or whether you'd need to make a big withdrawal. Worked for me though. Only once or twice when John was in the mood. And those were the 90s. You had to be careful. Being in the mood could see you off. It took so many. I looked you up on Facebook and the likes, years on, just to see where you were at, to know you were, okay. Your surname never changed. I guess God never delivered you that promised man. Poor sod. Or maybe you're no longer with us. Your last postings were years ago, such as they were. Maybe something took you. In kindness, I hope. Heinz bean juice. That to me is always you, Suzanne. Every time I open a can of baked beans, I remember you sat in the staff room of the Abbey National with a can of beans emptied into a bowl just like this. And I'd sit there watching you, watching the pleasure etched on your face as you dipped piece after piece of toast into the sauce. And then one day, I realised that you never ever ate the beans. In fact, I once caught you tipping the uneaten beans into the bin. I don't like them, you said, pulling a face as if someone had suggested poisoning you. It's just the sauce. I remember suggesting that you just dip your toast into regular tomato sauce and save the beans from their fate. But you said it just wasn't the same. The only tomato sauce that would ever do was the one you find in a can of beans. Heinz baked beans. Something sweet and fruity, juicy. And when you said that, you were in another place, remembering Lord knows what, but so serene, so absolutely happy. At the time, John, thought you were away with the fairies. But now I realise you weren't. You just lived life innocently and wholly in the moment, loving and celebrating every slight sensation. You were so alive and honest and true to yourself. I took your name, Suzanne, when I transitioned into me, when I became me. I wanted a name that was centred in something innocent, something good. A name that spoke to me of life and living it. A name that reeked of living every moment, every ruddy moment, so joyfully. Suzanne from you and Heinz. When folk ask, I tell them it was my grandfather's surname, brought with him from Germany when he fled the Nazis on the Kindertransport. It's not true though. I often think you gifted me my surname too, from your love of baked bean juice, which is somewhat more true. But the absolute truth is that when I left John behind, I regenerated. Just like Doctor Who. New face, new body. Same memories, of course. John Bean became Suzanne Heinz. John to Suzanne, Bean to Heinz. And the real truth of that is, well, I am such a child of the 1960s. TV, jingles, commercial breaks, they were like mother's milk to me. So when I needed to replace Bean, well, it was obvious, as anyone of my vintage can tell you. Beans means Heinz. So that's me, Suzanne Heinz. So, here's to you, Suzanne. I never found God, but I, at least, found me. And the joy of baked bean juice.
A million houseflies every day pick up a tin of beans and say, beans means Heinz. A million houseflies every day pick up a tin of beans and say,